In today's world, attraction isn't just about looks or charm, it's about emotional intelligence, maturity, and how you show up in someone's life. If you want a woman not just to like you, but to genuinely fall for you, you need to embody qualities that build trust, respect, and admiration. Today, we're breaking down 5 powerful acts that make women fall madly in love. Not by playing games, but by becoming the kind of man she feels safe to love deeply and confidently. Emotional safety is the foundation of genuine love. For a woman to fall deeply in love, she must feel secure not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. This isn't about being overly gentle or always agreeing. It's about creating a space where she feels confident expressing her feelings, her fears, her dreams, and even her insecurities without being judged or dismissed. Emotional safety is the silent confidence a man brings into a relationship, the stability that allows her heart to trust, open up, and attach. Many men misunderstand emotional safety as being soft or overly emotional themselves, but emotional safety is rooted in emotional maturity, not emotional dependency. You don't have to turn into someone who constantly talks about feelings. You simply have to show that you can handle hers. A woman tests the emotional frame not because she wants to break you, but because she needs to know you are strong enough to hold it. If she expresses hurt and you react with anger, sarcasm, or withdrawal, she learns you are not emotionally safe. But if you stay calm, listen, and respond without ego, you build deep trust. Women fall in love through emotional connection the same way men often fall in love through admiration and respect. If a woman feels she cannot be herself around you, she will never give you her heart. When she shares something vulnerable, she isn't looking for you to fix everything instantly. She wants to feel heard and understood. True emotional safety means you don't weaponize her emotions or her vulnerabilities in an argument. You don't belittle her feelings, call her dramatic, or tell her she's overreacting simply because the situation doesn't affect you in the same way. Emotional maturity is understanding that two people can experience the same moment differently. Emotional safety also means you don't punish her for having emotions. You stay grounded when she becomes emotional. Women naturally bond through emotional expression. When a woman loves a man, she often tries to share herself deeply. If a man shuts down during emotional conversations, avoids confrontation, or prefers silence over communication, she slowly begins to emotionally detach. So emotional safety is not just about comforting her when she cries. It is also about staying present when things are difficult. Emotional availability doesn't weaken a man, it makes him a leader in relationships. Another aspect of emotional safety is reliability. A woman needs to know that what you say and what you do are aligned. If your words say one thing but your behavior says another, she cannot relax into the relationship. Predictability in character is extremely attractive to a feminine mind. It signals loyalty, grounding, and long-term stability. When a woman feels emotionally safe, her nervous system relaxes around you. She stops being defensive, stops overthinking, and stops fearing abandonment. She becomes more nurturing, more affectionate, and more feminine because emotional peace brings out her natural softness. A secure man doesn't run from difficult conversations. He doesn't get threatened by emotions. He doesn't need to dominate, nor does he collapse under pressure. He acknowledges feelings instead of dismissing them. He can apologize without feeling weak. He can correct without demeaning. He can listen without turning everything into a debate. And he understands that emotional safety is not about perfection, but consistency in patience, presence, and empathy. At its core, emotional safety is the most masculine thing you can give a woman because only a man who is in control of himself can create safety for someone else. The man who can stay composed while she feels deeply becomes the man she trusts with her heart, her loyalty, her softness, and her love. Purpose-driven masculinity is one of the strongest magnets of attraction for a woman. When a man has clarity about who he is, where he's going, and what he is building, he naturally earns admiration. Women fall deeply for a man who lives with intention, not confusion. Purpose creates direction, and direction creates a sense of emotional and future stability. A man with purpose doesn't need to convince anyone of his value. His lifestyle and discipline speak for him. He doesn't chase approval. He is led by vision. And the more grounded he is in his mission, the safer a woman feels investing emotionally in him. A man without purpose becomes reactive to life. He moves based on mood, not mission. He gets frustrated easily, feels threatened by small setbacks, and depends too much on relationships for validation or identity. When a woman senses this lack of direction, she does not fall in love deeply. She becomes cautious. She may like him, appreciate him, even enjoy his presence, but she will struggle to trust his future. Women are biologically and emotionally wired to desire security and growth. If a man cannot lead himself, how can he lead a family, a life, or a future vision together? Purpose-driven men are not obsessed with shortcuts or comfort. They are committed to evolution, discipline, and personal standards. Their time has value, their energy is intentional, and their life is not defined by entertainment or instant gratification. This maturity sends a clear message. I am building something bigger than myself. That force of direction is deeply attractive because it signals long-term stability and leadership. Women do not fall in love with potential, they fall in love with progress. When a man consistently works towards something meaningful, he becomes inspiring rather than dependent. Having purpose doesn't mean ignoring relationships or being emotionally unavailable. It means creating balance. A man rooted in his mission understands that his identity does not come from a woman's approval. He loves deeply, but he does not collapse into his partner for purpose or confidence. He does not abandon his goals to chase validation. Instead, his path shapes his confidence and his emotional strength. A purpose-driven man brings a woman into his world. He does not make her his entire world. That emotional independence allows her to admire him without feeling smothered or burdened with being his only source of fulfillment. Women are drawn to men who take responsibility for their lives, financially, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. Purpose brings out structure, and structure brings out masculine polarity. A man who rises early, manages his time, invests in growth, and protects his energy becomes someone a woman feels proud to stand beside. He doesn't need to announce ambition, he lives it. His lifestyle signals discipline. His mindset shows resilience. His conversations reflect long-term thinking. This consistency builds trust in his capacity to provide emotional, intellectual, and future security. A woman feels admiration when she sees a man envisioning a future, setting goals, and acting on them, not just talking. She feels inspired witnessing his efforts and dedication. She sees his capacity to be dependable, resilient, and protective. And that emotional impact is far more powerful than charm or flattery. Vision creates gravity. Effort creates loyalty. When a woman sees that a man is committed to growth and self-development, she feels confident investing her emotions because she knows she is aligning with someone who is growing, not stagnating. A man building something meaningful becomes a safe emotional investment. Respect and boundaries form the backbone of healthy attraction. Many men assume love grows through constant availability and endless approval, but that approach often backfires. Women are naturally drawn to men who respect them and equally attracted to men who respect themselves. Respect shows maturity, boundaries show self-worth. Together they create emotional balance, stability, and admiration. A woman cannot fall deeply in love with a man she does not respect, and she cannot respect a man who lacks standards for himself or the relationship. Respect begins with how a man carries himself. It shows in how he speaks, how he treats others, and how he manages conflict. A man who is rude to strangers but sweet to her is not respected. He is feared or tolerated. A woman observes how a man treats people who offer him nothing. She notices whether he listens when others speak, whether he stands firm in his beliefs without arrogance, and whether he handles disagreement calmly. Emotional control is a form of respect. When a man can regulate himself without yelling, insulting, or shutting down, he communicates strength and stability. A masculine presence does not need loudness. It needs grounded confidence. Respecting a woman means acknowledging her individuality, her dreams, opinions, boundaries, and emotions. It means you don't belittle her ambitions, you don't talk over her, and you don't dismiss her feelings because they don't match your logic. Respect shows through consistency, reliability, and accountability. If a man says he will do something, he follows through. If he makes a mistake, he owns it without excuses. When he listens, he is present. When he communicates, he does so clearly, without manipulation or passive aggression. That level of respect makes a woman feel valued and emotionally safe around him. But respect alone is not enough. It must be paired with boundaries. Many men confuse boundaries with control, but they are fundamentally different. Control is rooted in insecurity. Boundaries are rooted in self-respect. A man with boundaries does not restrict a woman. He protects his emotional space and energy. He does not tolerate disrespect, but he does not demand obedience. He knows what he will accept and what he will walk away from. He does not respond to silent treatment, emotional manipulation, or disrespect with anger. He responds with clarity and distance. Instead of chasing unhealthy behavior, he reinforces his standards calmly. Women deeply admire men who maintain emotional boundaries while remaining kind and respectful. When a man can say no without defensiveness and yes without desperation, he shows emotional independence. He doesn't compromise his values to avoid conflict or to earn affection. He can support her dreams without abandoning his own. He loves her without making her the center of his entire identity. That balance keeps attraction strong because it prevents emotional smothering and eliminates passive neediness. Boundaries also include how a man manages his time, friendships, and priorities. He does not cancel everything for her approval, nor does he isolate himself from his purpose or social life. He understands that love grows best when both partners have lives outside the relationship. This independence builds respect. A woman feels proud of a man who maintains integrity, ambition, and dignity. She trusts him more deeply because she sees he is not driven by insecurity or dependency. When a man combines respect with strong personal boundaries, he creates a relationship dynamic based on equality, admiration, and emotional maturity. He doesn't compete with her, dominate her, or submit to her out of fear. He stands beside her as a partner and a leader, holding space for her emotions while holding firm to his values. A woman cannot help but feel drawn to and grounded by a man like this, because he is safe, stable, and strong in a way that inspires both trust and respect. Consistency is one of the most powerful forms of attraction because it builds trust, emotional safety, and long-term respect. Many men believe that grand gestures, charm, or powerful words are what make a woman fall in love. But while those things can spark interest, they don't sustain love. What truly deepens a woman's feelings is seeing that a man's behavior matches his words over time. Consistency is not about being perfect, it's about being dependable, predictable in character, and emotionally reliable. When a woman can count on a man, her heart relaxes and her trust grows. Most relationships fall apart not because love is missing, but because reliability is missing. Inconsistent behavior confuses the feminine mind. If one day a man is affectionate, attentive, and supportive, but the next he is distant, irritated, or unavailable, she doesn't feel emotionally safe. Emotional inconsistency triggers insecurity. It makes a woman question whether she is valued, whether she can rely on the connection, or whether she is going to be abandoned emotionally. A woman cannot build long-term love with unpredictability because unpredictability forces her into survival mode instead of emotional intimacy. Consistency means showing up even when the mood changes. Anyone can be loving on good days. Anyone can give attention when everything feels easy. But emotional maturity is measured during stress, arguments, or disappointment. A man who can stay steady when life becomes overwhelming communicates strength and stability. He doesn't shut down communication when he's frustrated. He doesn't disappear when challenges arise. He doesn't avoid emotional responsibility because he is temporarily uncomfortable. This level of steadiness signals emotional leadership, and women deeply admire that. Consistency also applies to effort. A relationship doesn't survive on the energy that was given in the beginning. Many men put their best behavior forward at the start, attentive messaging, thoughtful gestures, genuine curiosity, only to become complacent once they feel secure. But true attraction requires sustained effort, not temporary enthusiasm. When a man continues to listen, continues to invest energy, continues to show care and interest, he creates a stable emotional rhythm that fosters deeper attachment. Real commitment is repetitive effort, not one-time intensity. For consistency to exist, self-discipline must exist. A man who is disciplined in his habits, emotions, words, and decisions becomes naturally consistent. A man who acts based on whims, impulses, or ego becomes unpredictable. Women observe patterns. They pay attention to how a man reacts under pressure, whether he follows through on his goals, and whether he maintains integrity regardless of circumstances. If he says he will call, he calls. If he commits to improvement, he acts on it. If he apologizes, he corrects the behavior, not just the moment. Consistency through discipline builds credibility. Consistency also doesn't mean constant availability or abandoning personal identity. It means she always knows who she is dealing with. Your character stays the same whether you're happy or upset, busy or free, receiving attention or being challenged. You don't shift personalities based on validation or convenience. Emotional consistency is having a stable inner world. It's leading conversations calmly, expressing needs clearly, and handling conflict without turning cold, distant, or defensive. When a woman knows a man's emotional foundation is solid, she feels safe giving more of herself. In love, words are easy. Promises are easy. Excitement at the beginning is easy. What is hard and what truly matters is consistency over months and years, not perfection, but reliability, not constant emotional intensity, but stable emotional presence. A man who shows up with consistency makes a woman feel chosen, safe, and prioritized without needing to constantly reassure her with dramatic declarations or superficial gestures. She sees love in his actions, not just in his language. And when a woman feels secure in that reliability, her affection deepens naturally because she trusts the connection, trusts the man, and trusts the future. Leadership in a relationship is not about dominance, control, or authority. It is about direction, stability, and emotional maturity. Women naturally feel drawn to a man who leads not through force, but through clarity and calm strength. Leadership is the ability to guide, to organize, and to take initiative without imposing power. It is the balance between being assertive and being compassionate, standing firm while staying emotionally aware. When a man leads with kind confidence, a woman feels anchored, respected, and cherished, not managed or restricted. This type of leadership is built on emotional intelligence, not ego. The modern woman does not want a man who commands her life. She wants a man who knows how to command his own. Leadership begins with self-leadership. A man who can manage his emotions, time, responsibilities, and decisions naturally creates an environment of stability. He doesn't collapse when life becomes challenging, and he doesn't react impulsively under stress. His calmness becomes the emotional anchor of the relationship. When a woman senses that a man can navigate life with composure and accountability, she feels safe leaning into her feminine energy, trusting, softening, and allowing emotional intimacy to deepen. Leadership also means taking initiative, not waiting for her to plan everything, not expecting her to always organize the relationship, and not being passive. Whether it's planning a date, suggesting solutions, or supporting shared goals, initiative demonstrates strength and commitment. A woman should feel that she is walking beside a man who is confident enough to take charge when needed, but wise enough to include her voice. Kind leadership listens before deciding. It values her opinions, respects her perspective, and makes choices that consider both people. This type of leadership builds admiration because it shows emotional fairness and balanced authority. A man who leads with kindness does not use fear, pressure, or silence to get his way. He communicates honestly. He handles disagreements maturely. He listens with the intention to understand, not to defend. His leadership is not loud or aggressive. It is steady. There is no need to control, manipulate, or prove superiority. Women fall in love with men who lead through influence, not intimidation. Emotional security grows when a woman knows her partner will guide rather than dominate, support rather than suppress, and protect rather than possess. Confidence is a major pillar of leadership, but real confidence is quiet, humble, and consistent. It is not loud arrogance or convincing behavior. A truly confident man does not need validation from everyone around him. He does not crumble when challenged or become defensive when questioned. He can admit when he is wrong, adjust when necessary, and grow without viewing feedback as an attack. This humility paired with firmness creates a powerful emotional presence. A woman can relax and trust a man who stands strong without needing to win every argument or seek control in every situation. Kind leadership also shows in how a man handles her emotions. When a woman feels overwhelmed, insecure, or emotional, a strong man does not belittle her reactions or retreat into silence. He provides grounding energy. He listens, reassures, and helps her find clarity without making her feel weak for feeling deeply. Feminine energy expands in the presence of stable masculine energy. A man who knows how to calm chaos rather than contribute to it becomes unforgettable in a woman's life because he brings emotional peace, not turbulence. True masculine leadership does not take away a woman's power, it amplifies it. It encourages her strengths, celebrates her growth, and protects her softness. It isn't threatened by her independence or her standards. Instead, it honors her while staying rooted in self-respect and clear boundaries. In this space, a woman doesn't feel controlled. She feels protected and emotionally seen. She doesn't feel led by force. She feels led by trust, comfort, and confidence that she has a partner capable of guiding a shared future with wisdom and emotional strength. Deep presence is one of the most underestimated yet powerful forms of attraction. In a world full of distractions, constant notifications, and short attention spans, very few people truly listen. But when a man gives a woman his full presence, when he pays attention not only to what she says but how she feels, she experiences a level of emotional connection that stands out. Presence is not about always being physically near. It is about being mentally and emotionally engaged when you are with her. When a woman feels genuinely seen and heard, she feels valued, understood, and emotionally safe enough to open her heart. Listening is not waiting for your turn to speak. It is not pretending to care while your mind wanders elsewhere. Genuine listening requires patience, interest, and emotional intelligence. It means observing her tone, her body language, the emotions behind her words. A man who listens deeply shows that he is mature enough to understand that communication is not only logical, it is emotional, intuitive, and layered. Women communicate to connect, to feel understood, and to be emotionally met. When she speaks and you respond with curiosity instead of judgment, validation instead of comparison, patience instead of irritation, she feels emotionally chosen. Presence also means not rushing to fix everything. Many men respond to emotions with solutions, thinking that solving problems equals love. But emotional connection isn't built through solving, it's built through sitting with her emotions without running away from them. Instead of jumping to correction, a deeply present man says, "Tell me more," or "I hear you," or "I understand why you feel that way." He gives her space to process. He understands that sometimes women don't want solutions. They want understanding, comfort, and reassurance. This emotional maturity makes her trust him with the most delicate parts of her heart. Presence also shows through silence, the calm kind, not the avoidant kind. A man who can sit peacefully and listen brings stability. He does not interrupt to defend himself instantly. He does not become reactive or dismissive when emotions rise. Instead, he remains composed, grounded, and attentive. He hears not only the words, but the experience behind them. That level of emotional awareness signals strength, patience, and leadership. It shows that he is not controlled by ego or impulsiveness. A woman feels safe in the presence of a man who listens without trying to overpower the moment. Technology has made presence rare, and that's why it has become priceless. Putting the phone down, turning your eyes toward her, asking meaningful questions, remembering small details, these acts communicate care and priority. They say, "You matter enough for me to be here fully." A man who gives his presence chooses intention over distraction. He chooses human connection over digital noise. That attention forms emotional intimacy faster than charm or compliments ever could. It makes her feel important, not as an obligation, but as a priority. True presence also includes emotional availability. A man who is present doesn't avoid deeper topics or meaningful conversations. He doesn't fear difficult feelings, his or hers. He creates conversations that build emotional closeness, dreams, fears, values, beliefs, growth, future vision. When he opens up gradually and listens deeply, she feels bonded through authenticity, not performance. A woman becomes attached to the man who understands her inner world, not just her outer life. When a man listens with empathy and presence, he learns her needs, her boundaries, her love languages, and what makes her feel appreciated. He doesn't assume, he pays attention, he doesn't guess, he asks, he doesn't shut down, he leans in. This level of presence builds emotional intimacy that feels rare and irreplaceable. When she speaks and he truly listens, when she expresses emotion and he remains grounded, when she shares her heart and he handles it gently, she begins to trust him deeply because she feels emotionally seen, understood, and valued without needing to perform or compete for his attention.